Is he this gangster that behind the scenes is that him? Or is that
Shout out to Wendy Williams.
But tell me, man, why do you believe that Jay and Puffy is close, even though Jay's lawyer came out and said they're not?
Because Jay-Z and Puff was given an...
Shakur. Just saying the name is enough to make the entire internet implode under its own weight. But this week? Oh, honey, the shockwaves are not just rippling, they're nuclear. For almost 3 decades, the world has mourned him as gone forever. A victim of that infamous drive-by under the neon lights of the Vegas Strip. The East Coast-West Coast war claimed him, or so we were told. And yet, here we are. Social media is blowing up like never before. Forget blurry nightclub snaps or wild cigar-smoking lookalikes. This isn't your typical "I saw Tupac in Cuba" rumor. This time, the whispers say he's back, alive, angry, and ready to tear down the glittering empires of Jay-Z and Diddy with his bare hands. The hashtags? Ruthless. Shakur exposes Jay-Z. Diddy panics. They're not just trending, they're dominating feeds harder than election scandals or celebrity breakups. Everyone is asking the same deadly simple question. Could this be the biggest, most shocking comeback in music history?
It was to destroy East Coast rap. And what I mean by that, and I know people gonna be like, yo, Gene is out of his mind and everything like that. Check this out.
Chaos online is insane. Shaky TikTok videos, mysterious screenshots, grainy clips of a man who looks too much like Shakur casually walking Havana's streets. Fans dissecting every pixel, conspiracy accounts dropping old bodyguard confessions like bombs, and one chilling phrase echoing across it all. He didn't come back to rap, he came back for revenge. Think about it. For years, whispers floated about a coroner's report that didn't match his height, about the cremator who mysteriously vanished after his cremation, about Suge Knight insisting Tupac was never really gone. Fans of Machiavelli always wondered if his disappearance was less tragedy, more strategy. A deliberate exile to Cuba, protected by political allies, plotting in the shadows, quietly gathering evidence against his enemies. And now, rumors are exploding about a fatal memoir. Yes, a whole manuscript allegedly written by Shakur himself. Think of it as a forbidden time bomb, locked away in a Cuban vault filled with names, betrayals, conspiracies, even pointing the finger at those who profited most from his disappearance. If that manuscript is real, history doesn't just get cracked open, it gets detonated. What's inside? Industry insiders claim it lays out, in painstaking detail, who did what that night in Vegas and who covered it up afterward. Suddenly, Jay-Z and Diddy's carefully polished legacies look like they're on the verge of collapse. And all anyone can ask is, why now? Why is the silence breaking after nearly 30 years?
I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody to find out what's really been going on in the back.
But just when you think it can't get crazier, oh, it does. Enter bombshell number 2, the tapes. Whispers of secret recordings have haunted hip-hop for decades. But now, the rumors are deafening. These aren't studio scraps or lost freestyles. No, these are allegedly private recordings of Jay-Z and Diddy themselves, captured in the mid-90s, talking openly about corruption, orchestrated violence, and cover-ups so massive they make Watergate look like child's play. Imagine it. Jay-Z, who once proudly said, "To be in a deal, you need to know what you can spend, what you need to re-up," suddenly hearing his young hustler voice replayed in courtroom evidence. And Diddy, already drowning in lawsuits, headlines, and scandal, now potentially tied back to the darkest night in hip-hop history. The timing couldn't be more brutal. Jay-Z has spent years reinventing himself, transforming from Brooklyn hustler to global billionaire mogul, launching wellness brands and positioning himself as a visionary of dignity and culture. But if those tapes leak, that transformation won't look like redemption. It'll look like camouflage, and the wolves are circling. 50 Cent, always ready to throw gasoline on a fire, mocked Jay-Z online. "Friends to the end, Jay. Are you still there?" The internet went wild, eating it up, gleefully painting Jay-Z's loyalty to Diddy as less brotherhood, more liability.
It's competitive.
Competitiveness. All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him
okay,
like that.
damn, all right. I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
All right.
Meanwhile, Diddy's entire empire is caving in. Once the untouchable king of bad boy records, now he's staring down federal indictments. Prosecutors aren't holding back, accusing him of running a criminal enterprise, racketeering, trafficking, coercion, the kind of stuff that makes even courtroom veterans shudder. Witnesses vanish, others change their tune, but the cases keep piling up. Lawyers whisper about million-dollar NDAs, buried settlements, hidden footage from those infamous freak-offs. And now, as if his legal firestorm wasn't enough, Shakur's supposed resurrection is hovering over it all like a ghost, pointing an accusing finger from beyond the grave. Already, prosecutors are comparing Diddy's alleged world to Jeffrey Epstein's. But if Shakur really has recordings, tapes proving Diddy's hand in violence and cover-ups, that's not just a career ender. That's legacy annihilation.
And then what's the stuff that's happening with Wendy Williams? You think this is all connection too?
Of course.
And just when you thought the web of conspiracies was tangled enough, TikTok theorists dragged Jay-Z, Diddy, and even Beyonce into something darker. The eerie deaths of Aaliyah, Left Eye, Michael Jackson, all on the 25th of different months. Coincidence or coded ritual? Some claim Beyonce's almost godlike worship at award shows, remember Adele breaking her Grammy for her, wasn't just fandom, but allegiance to a secret network. Wild? Sure. But once you throw Shakur's alleged tapes into the mix, suddenly even the wildest theories feel possible. And the whispers don't stop there. In one leaked police interview, Diddy's name was mentioned 47 times in connection with Shakur's 1996 drive-by. Keefe D, now awaiting trial, claimed Diddy once offered millions for the heads of both Shakur and Suge Knight. For years, people dismissed it as street gossip, but now prosecutors are quietly tying threads between Diddy's trafficking case and Shakur's unsolved shooting. Even if it never gets proven in court, the court of public opinion is already sitting in judgment, and trust me, it does not like what it sees.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make a...
We're staring at an industry on the verge of collapse. Jay-Z, the man who once admitted in Vanity Fair that he sold crack just to survive and buy clothes, is now battling accusations of something far darker. And Diddy, the face of flashy parties and glossy Ciroc commercials, he's staring down a future legal expert's whisper could mean life in prison. But hovering above them both, like a ghost who refuses to stay buried, is Tupac Shakur. Whether flesh and blood or legend turned real, he now threatens to topple everything. Memoirs, tapes, secrets no one wants exposed. So why would he disappear in the first place? The official story always claimed his fate was sealed in Vegas. But those who followed the trail insist it was all a staged illusion, a camouflage. Powerful people wanted him gone, and the only way out was to fake his exit. Late-night flights, body doubles, even whispers that Castro himself offered sanctuary in Havana. If that's true, then Pac didn't just survive. He pulled off the most dangerous long game in music history, all because he knew too much. So we ask, was his disappearance a desperate act of survival, or the opening move in a war that's only now reaching its climax?
Potential. Jay was more quiet. But I mean, I learned that Jay was being quiet because he was taking notes. He was taking notes, observing everything, taking it all in, because, sometimes you're around and you're watching to see things to do. But some people...
Let's rewind the clock. Everyone remembers Tupac versus Biggie, the East Coast versus West Coast feud that defined an era. But beneath those headlines lurked another rivalry that now feels much more sinister: Jay-Z. Back then, he was just a young Brooklyn hustler, selling tapes out of trunks, trying to break into the game. Meanwhile, Pac was at his peak, dominating culture. But within months of Pac's death, Jay-Z's career suddenly exploded. His debut album dropped in 1996, the same year Pac vanished. Within a decade, Jay-Z wasn't just rapping, he was building empires. So we have to ask, was Pac's fall the ultimate chess move that cleared the board for Jay-Z's rise? Or was it just cruel coincidence? One man buried, another man crowned. Jay-Z himself once said, "To be in a deal, you need to know what you can spend, what you need to re-up. At some point, you have to have an exit strategy." He was talking about hustling. But what if that same mindset guided his climb in the industry? To some, that quote isn't metaphor. It's confession. A glimpse into a man who knew the streets weren't the only battlefield. And when you piece together the timing, the feuds, the silence that followed Pac's disappearance, it feels less like chance and more like puzzle pieces snapping together in the dark. Fast forward to now. The man once hailed as hip-hop's eternal showman, Diddy, is unraveling in front of us. The mogul who turned Bad Boy into a cultural machine is now sitting in federal custody, accused of orchestrating parties fueled by coercion, manipulation, and intimidation. Prosecutors paint him as the head of a criminal enterprise. His trial has already unveiled missing witnesses, sealed NDAs, lurid recordings seized from mansion raids. And looming over all of this, the threat of Tupac's return, armed with proof that Diddy himself played a role in silencing him. Diddy's panic shows, his social feeds, silent, his lawyers, filing desperate motions, drowning in paperwork, grasping at straws, but the cracks are visible. Artists whispering that alliances with Diddy are poison, 50 Cent trolling him online. His empire isn't just shaking, it's collapsing. And if Pac really has tapes and memoirs ready, Diddy's downfall won't just be legal, it'll be cultural annihilation. The irony is brutal. For years, insiders linked Diddy to Pac's Vegas shooting, accusations that he once offered millions to have Pac and Suge Knight taken out. He laughed it off, called it fantasy. But now, with whispers that Pac is alive and ready to speak, those fantasies sound less like rumors and more like prophecy. Add in the federal raids on Diddy's mansions, evidence painting him as a predator, and suddenly Pac's potential testimony could blow open everything. Imagine the ultimate twist. Diddy, not just losing his empire, but being cemented as the villain in the most infamous unsolved mystery in music history. And the fallout wouldn't stop there. If Pac's memoirs and tapes tied Jay-Z and Diddy to that night, it yanks at the threads of the entire music machine. Record labels, executives, even global icons like Beyonce. Already, conspiracy corners are pointing to strange patterns. The eerie timing of Aaliyah, Left Eye, Michael Jackson, all gone on the 25th of different months. Coincidence or sacrifice? To the mainstream, it's far-fetched, but to conspiracists, it's proof of a machine willing to feed on its own stars. And if Pac is back to rip the curtain away, every megastar built under that machine suddenly looks fragile. But maybe, just maybe, this isn't about revenge at all. Pac was never just an artist. He was a strategist, a thinker, a student of Machiavelli. Maybe faking his death wasn't about survival alone. Maybe it was about timing, distance, waiting until the right moment to return and expose the entire culture of lies. Think about it. For decades, artists have whispered about unfair contracts, stolen royalties, careers sabotaged by shady executives. Pac called it out in his lyrics, in interviews, warning of an industry that chewed artists up and spat them out. If he's back, and if he's holding proof, memoirs, tapes, files, then this isn't just about settling old scores. It's about starting a revolution. And that revolution, long overdue. Young artists today fight tooth and nail for independence. They demand ownership of their masters, transparency in contracts, freedom from exploitative labels. Social media has given them a voice that old gatekeepers can't silence. Now imagine Pac aligning with them, not just as a legend, but as the ultimate survivor. A revolutionary elder uniting scattered protests into a movement. His return could turn murmurs of resistance into a cultural rebellion, one that threatens to burn the entire music machine to the ground. This is bigger than revenge, bigger than justice for one man. It's about exposing an industry built on secrecy, betrayal, and exploitation. If Pac's comeback is real, it could be the spark that ignites a reckoning not seen since the civil rights era's collision with music. The generational clash is here. Artists building their own labels, demanding independence, bypassing the old machine. Pac's reappearance could serve as the rallying cry, proof that the fight isn't just valid, it's essential, and that the old guard, the billionaires, the moguls, the icons, were never untouchable. Suddenly Pac becomes more than a rapper, he becomes a revolutionary. And so here we are, standing at the edge of something massive, bigger than any scandal hip-hop has ever faced. Jay-Z, the billionaire mogul, could finally be forced to answer questions about what doors opened for him after the late 90s. Diddy, already fighting for his life in court, could see his empire obliterated by the reappearance of the one man he thought was gone forever. And Pac? If this really is him, then he's holding the power to burn the entire system to ashes. So the question we're left with is chilling. What if this isn't a comeback story? What if this is the reckoning hip-hop never wanted but always deserved? If Shakur is truly back, is he here to settle old scores? Or is he here to finally expose an industry built on betrayal, secrecy, and blood? That's for you to decide. Drop your thoughts below because trust me, this story, it's far from over.